I think you can just have a lot of fun. Just maybe just writing poems or sonnets or short stories. I like to write flash, which is stuff under 500 words ish, so it's really brief, maybe a page or two. I would love to read anything you guys, have to share sometime, or if you ever want to talk about fiction, I'm just going to say I can certainly leave my contact information with your instructors and all that. But yeah, anything, maybe any of you guys have just questions about in general or with your writing?
Students, do you have any question, anything about writing? You can ask any questions about writing.
Anything. No
Anything?
wrong questions. Yeah,
Yeah, there is no wrong question. All the
no
questions are
wrong
good
questions.
questions. So you can ask.
Yeah, anything.
You may write in the chat box if you don't want to talk, or if you feel
Yeah,
shy.
you just want to type in the chat, I can answer that too for you, if that's more comfortable.
No questions?
No questions?
Um,
Ah,
Turner, actually, let me tell you one thing. Is this your
uh-huh.
first session with? Uh, oh, okay. Someone asked you a question.
Oh, okay. I'm on. Let's see.
He asked, I want to know
Okay.
about the main thing about rhetorical writing.
Okay. The main thing about rhetorical writing, I would say, is to always focus your writing on appealing to the reader's logic, especially if you're talking academic papers or research writing and things like that. Mainly just because facts are always going to be your best friend. It's
Facts.
over here we live, yeah, facts. You want to give them facts and logic and things that they just can't ignore in terms of you being kind of on the right side of what you're talking about. So yeah, facts. But like we were also saying, you can't ignore the human side of people too. So if you consider who they are and where they're from, and try to do the best you can in terms of treating them fairly, but also trying to convince them that maybe that you're seeing things in a different way, and there's also worth in that.
Okay, you know that nowadays the students always want to know all the shortcut way, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely, right? If you
okay.
can find one, they're looking for it. um, that I was going to say, there's a really good website that I usually use with my students on day one. I'll be like, hey, let's go here in terms of the rhetorical writing, style and format and research and layout. And that's actually OWL Purdue's online writing lab with Purdue University. And I can drop that link in the chat for you guys if you want to check that out or something. Um, but yeah, Grammarly is a really good app. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's a really good spell check and also sentence structure app in terms of, if you're really trying to adjust to that ESL. I think that would probably be pretty helpful too. Yeah, Grammarly. There's so many things out there. Citation Machine, if you're doing research and you're not sure about formatting, Citation Machine is a really good website. Yeah, let me see if I can put the Purdue OWL link over here for you guys, and I'll put that in the chat for you. Let's see. Okay. Now, this is just a link to the page I was talking about in terms of rhetorical writing. The website in general is pretty helpful, I would think, just in terms of overall, help with maybe English. But yeah, feel free to check it out. But I guess in terms of improving, the easy way, practice. I know nobody likes to hear that, but it's that's the truth. It's just trying to put as much work in as you can to find that voice and feel comfortable with what you're talking about or writing about. Got some chat over here.
Well, there is a question, a very interesting question, that is that when a student tries to write something academic, I mean,
Mhm.
whenever she tries to write academic writing, she always makes some mistakes, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's kind of grammatical mistakes, and sometimes maybe she wants to write something. I mean, she wants to mean something, but it's something else. It turns out something else. So, how can she overcome?
that's that's tricky, especially for non-native speakers of any language. When you're trying to learn another language, the 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 words don't always translate exactly the same, so sometimes there's a little bit lost there. um but to be helpful, um sometimes just, I don't know, listening to the TV or radio in a particular language, that helps me. But I'm more of a verbal learner like that. If somebody's more of a visual learner, it probably helps to see those phrases spelled out. So maybe you could watch them with subtitles or something like that, if you can find something that maybe you can get into. I know I don't know. Sometimes the best way to pick up that is to be around someone, who speaks the language. But that's hard right now. You guys were talking about how things are with the virus here. We're still inside, and you don't have that luxury, I guess, right now. So if you can maybe just find some television, movies, some kind of media that you have access to, that you can kind of check out or listen to or watch, it could be helpful, I think, maybe without having to be face to face with someone. Um, let's see. I think we got one more over here. That's a private one, I think, but it just says there are many rules in academic writing. There are rules so that we can learn easily. There are no end to the rules. That is true. I think English is probably one of the hardest languages to learn. There are so many contradictory rules and words that mean the same thing or sound the same way. You just it just becomes kind of one of those things that you just have to work at in order to master. And I'm from the South, so I know people that have been working their whole lives and can't really still speak, I guess, standard English. They're my relatives speak American Southern, I guess, pretty well, which is kind of a slang. But yeah, it's just practice, just exposure and practice, I think, is
Okay,
the
we,
best
we
thing.
have another question from another student.
Okay.
He asked
Yeah.
that while writing, um,
Okay.
he
Let's
kind
see.
of feels problematic. It's problematic for him to choose the proper word, to choose the proper vocabulary. How to overcome this problem, he's asking.
Okay. Uh-huh. So it's just hard, yeah, to come down with the exact word you want. Um, it it could be handy to just utilize a thesaurus occasionally. If you have access to an online one that you trust or that you like, especially if there's kind of a side by side translation. When you're coming to your ESL to English, just so you can maybe see a list of words or phrases comparable. Um, yeah, I think that's again, I feel like it's just something that comes with time, and just again exposure and practice to the language. But it doesn't hurt to have those tools beside you, whether it's a dictionary, a thesaurus, or something that just kind of helps you with that translation in terms of maybe having more options for those words that you want to use. Because
Well,
it can be, I'm sorry.
no. I would like to add here one thing. For example, as English is not our native language, so
Uh-huh.
sometimes it happens that there are so many words and the meaning is almost same, but
Yeah.
expressions are different. Okay. For example,
Uh-huh.
shout and scream both are kind of same thing. Okay.
Gotcha.
But I cannot use the shout for same sentence or not scream for the same sentence. So when can I understand that? That's also
Yeah.
a very difficulty for us. Like when to use the same meanings words, but we
Mm-hmm.
know that, but we cannot actually differentiate between the expressions. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
It's like, yeah.
actually what our students also face the same problem. What I feel.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the I don't know. Again, the problem with the language is, it means the same, but it doesn't. It's like these two words exist in this space, but one can mean something else and the other means something entirely different too, just by a subtlety. I just, yeah, again, I hate to keep saying it, but I feel like just, again, if you can find some way to just expose yourself to that language and just immerse yourself within it, again, whether it's just to in writing, I didn't even think about this, but I think it's Duolingo, and they basically kind of work you every day, and they reward you game. It's kind of like playing a little game on your phone, and it just kind of gives you rewards, and it teaches you sentence structure and things like that. And it's, again, it kind of works on some of those nuances between, shout or scream, or some of those words that are just so close, like you mentioned.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Okay.
One student is asking how to grab readers' attention through writing.
That's a great question, because I don't know. I like to start as strong as possible, and I'm sure you guys do too, especially with your writing or your speech or whatever. Because you don't hook them right off the bat. Sometimes they don't listen the whole way through. It's just like a lecture or a Zoom call. You can lose them really early and you don't get them back. But one of the things I like to start with sometimes is an interesting statistic, like something really big, like a number that's really big, that's hard to ignore, maybe a fact that the reader doesn't know, or maybe they thought they knew something about a subject, but give them some evidence that offers them a different point of view. So they're like, oh, wow, hold on a second. Maybe there's more I need to listen to or read into this. And going back to the imagination aspect of writing sometimes, or creative writing, and sometimes how you can work that into to formal essay writing. I was going to say one way is to again, start with a story, maybe your story or an experience you've had or an experience somebody else has gone through. And that in itself is a real life situation or a scenario. It's evidence, it's factual, but it also touches us on a human level to where we feel their pain, their struggle, their story, whatever it may be. And that in itself kind of just works, I feel like, the fact angle and the human angle, which is the best of both worlds when we're talking rhetoric, I guess.
Turner, what do you think about that? As you were talking about creative writing, then creative writing is all about to grab readers' attention, what our student just asked you. But what do you think that academic writing, why it's so difficult to grab the reader's attention? Because it doesn't have that big imagination.
Right. Yeah. I think that's exactly the struggle is, it's not, I can't start off with something, just creative and very flowery, or, sometimes the academic stuff's just a little dry, it's a little boring, it's a little, numbers and statistics and all that. But if you can work it all both in a little bit, you can definitely have success, I think, with telling your story. With the creative stuff, I like to jump in to maybe giving them a little bit of what's to come, and then working it back a little bit. That way we get into the story just a little bit, so they feel hooked and they feel like they want to read. And then you can kind of go backwards a little bit with your plot development or things like that. But that's just me. I don't know. Most of the stuff I write is fairly short, so you have to be, I guess, very economical or considerate with your words, because you don't want to have too much going on. But it's fun. I love the fiction. I feel like stories are a really good way to reach people.
Any more questions from students? No. Okay. So another student wrote how to do paragraphing and sectioning properly while writing the academic essay.
Okay. I always like to start my students with an outline, just to have, a general kind of outline, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just kind of line it out. an introduction with body paragraphs, and a conclusion. But to be honest, there's no set formula with how many body paragraphs you can have. You definitely want to have an introduction, just to introduce the subject to your reader, and saying, hey, this is what we're talking about. This is how I feel about it. Offer up that thesis statement, that direct main controlling idea of your writing. And then you can go through those body paragraphs, kind of proving that thesis, offering up those facts, those statistics, those stories, those real life examples of what's happened, building to that conclusion. I like to try to keep my paragraphs sectioned off with maybe one good main point per paragraph. Like if we're talking about I don't know, controversial subject like global warming or something like that, maybe the first paragraph I would talk about carbon emission, and then the second paragraph I could talk about methane gas emissions or something. I could just move on in kind of an organized manner all the way down, because organization is fairly key when you're doing the academic essay. One of you guys mentioned earlier about starting strong. It's the same way with creative writing with the academic is, you usually want to start with maybe your strongest point, that way you can get them in there, to hook them initially, or hopefully all your points are strong, because again, the last thing you leave them with, you want that to be strong or important too. You want all your points, I guess, to be strong. Sorry.
The student asked, he has a question. May I ask turning on my speaker? Yes, Naeem, you may turn on your speaker to ask the question.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I just want to ask about something about translation. Like at the time of translation, I just have fall in some problems. Like translating pieces of literature. At the time of I get to start translating some native phrases or words that cannot be translated into English or into another language. So actually, I feel like translating those things, because it will increase my readers to make laugh the readers. Okay, so at the time, what should I do? Could you please tell me about something?
Oh, with the translation, I feel like a lot gets lost in native translation to English. Like you're saying, like we're talking about earlier, there are only so many ways to say certain things, and if a non-native speaker is translating your work, they may lose a little bit of that within it. So I think the point's extremely valid there. So maybe some of the best ways to kind of go about that. Gosh, with translation, of course, you want to, I guess, keep your own work as close to you sometimes. You don't want to let everybody read your stuff all the time, if it's close to you, or if it's personal, or if it's fiction, or if it's some of your own ideas and things like that. But yeah, I think a lot gets lost in translation. And I think that can be hard in terms of getting those ideas out exactly how you want them. That can be frustrating, I'm sure. But I don't know. I guess just keep at it. Don't give up. I was going to say, I know language itself can be something that's very tedious and time consuming, and especially if it's something that you're not born possessing. In terms of that native hearing it all the time. But yeah, just keep going at it. And that work ethic will pay off.
Any question? So till now we have got another question. He wrote about a situation that sometimes he got distracted from a topic. I guess he meant to say that he goes off track while writing.
Gotcha. That happens all the time. I tell my students before they start writing to try to find a comfortable place where they can sit down, where they don't have a lot of external, where they're not with their roommate or the TV's going or something like that. But I also understand that we live in a digital age, and a lot of students do things differently now. A lot of students, the comfort level is them sitting with an earbud there or watching the TV in the background as they type their draft. So whatever makes you the most comfortable or sets you up for that success, I feel like that best environment for you is going to be, the most productive, obviously. So yeah, if you're just sitting there, and again, if you just can't get those ideas out, maybe think about brainstorming. I always like to kind of do that with my students. And that can be just as simple as sitting down and like having your topic at the top of your page, like with pen and paper, just kind of writing it down up here or something like that. And then just writing anything you can think about that topic for, maybe 5-10 minutes, and just shutting it down and just saying, okay, let me go back through here and see what I can use, what's useful. And again, a lot of this, I feel like the frustration or the distraction or the getting lost in your head can be something that happens because we don't put a lot of work in before we get down to writing. Maybe we say, okay, I can sit down and write this thing and I have it in my head, but if I don't have a plan on paper, sometimes it doesn't go accordingly. So maybe we get a little frustrated and we sit there wasting time.
So another student wrote, could I turn on my mic? Yes, Ridha, you may turn on your mic.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, yes. What is the maximum length of one sentence?
Maximum, okay. Now I've seen some experimental writers in fiction write pages without a period break, which, I know your teachers are probably like, but anything over, I'd say maybe, anything that's at least, 6, 7, 8 words, and anything that's maybe under, a dozen or so, a couple of lines. I don't like to see ideas that are huge. If you can compartmentalize them a little bit better, I think sometimes it helps with the reader not getting lost in the idea. That's an excellent question. Yeah, sometimes you see them that are like this big, and sometimes they're like that big,
Nafiza Nawal, I think she wanted to ask a question. Can you turn on your mic?
So can you talk a little bit about fiction?
Yeah, absolutely. I started writing fiction when I was a teenager, just because it was something to do. I like telling stories, and my family, they've always been kind of storyteller-ish. So I just kind of grew up hearing them do it, and I like to do it, but I didn't like to tell people about it. So I just kind of write it down, and eventually it just became, something that not only was fun, but it was also kind of therapeutic. It kind of helps you maybe work through some stuff or just get some ideas out. And again, sometimes people can read that and take something away from it, and that makes it, I think, really special. But a lot of times I just write stuff just to have fun, just to kind of throw ideas out there and see what sticks or not. Do you write fiction? Are you thinking about maybe writing or taking the class next semester?
Yes, sir. I'm having this course next semester, and I want to know about this course.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have a good experience in there. The biggest thing I think about fiction courses is the work, is making sure you have short stories or poems that are ready to workshop. That way when you get in there with all your friends and the other readers, they can really kind of give you some help on, kind of refining it or cleaning it up and getting it ready to publish. Because that's the goal. We want to see all you guys get some published work out there.
I think no more question. So I think it's okay. Turner, do you have anything else to share with the students there? Any more things?
I was gonna say nothing too big. The big thing I would just tell you guys is just to just to keep working. You know, practice again makes perfect in any art or any, you know, any kind of, I guess, job you're working on there. But I don't know. English is a frustrating language coming from a native speaker. So again, I understand those frustrations sometimes, but just keep working. And other than that, when it comes to the rhetorical writing stuff, you know, just give them the facts, give them the logic. That'll help you out.
Well, someone asked a very funny question.
Okay.
She's saying.
Oh, my cat's back here. You see my black cats. I have two black cats. I don't know where they're at right now, but they have their own wall back here.
So can I ask you another question?
Absolutely.
What makes a prose fiction not a novel?
Oh, what's that now? I'm sorry.
What makes a prose fiction not a novel?
Oh, okay. I think it mainly is just length. The length of the work. The novels usually, gosh, 50, 100,000 words versus your smaller stuff, your novellas and chapbooks and things like that are usually less than 30,000-ish. So yeah, just all length. The long stuff intimidates me like that. I don't know if I'll ever write a novel per se. But.
Okay.
Any more questions? Or students, do you want to add any comments or any remarks? Mr. Turner, do you want to add anything or any comments?
Oh, no, I just really appreciate you guys having me and appreciate you guys listening. I know I kind of get on rants sometimes, but it was really cool to talk to you guys.
So should we conclude the session here?
I think so.
Okay,
oh,
another
yeah,
question.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, actually, at the time of writing, what type of words should we follow? Common used words or difficult vocabularies for the readers?
I'm sorry, I lost you for just a second. What kind of what now?
Yeah, what kind of words should we follow at the time of writing? Difficult vocabularies or common used words?
Oh yeah, well again, you know, that's an audience. You know, who are you speaking to? I always would maybe defer to a more kind of general language, you know, because I don't want to lose anybody by using the really big, you know, phrases and words and all that. And again, it may be seen as a little more simple, but again, I want everybody to be able to understand. So I would go with more common stuff, absolutely.
Okay, but when it comes to rhetoric, okay, so rhetoric means all those, like if I follow Aristotle, ethos, logos, all these things, then it brings or it makes those ideas like making ornamental writing. I mean, like a very beautiful lady who is wearing all those ornaments. I mean that writing is like that, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
And that's the thing actually, like how do you say that, using common words, general words, what actually very used to the general people, general audience, or general reader. So when so rhetorical writing, isn't it something actually distracting the audience, like with all those too many or too big or too many barbarous words? So what do you think that but again, it comes to the academic writing, that if you don't use many vocabularies, if you don't use many words, different words, then academia will not give you any space. Or if you,
that's true.
Yeah, or if you don't write even if you use only those simple words in your creative writing, people will just throw away your write-up like that. There is nothing to, they will not find it interesting, right? So
right, yeah.
here actually the rhetorical writing has its own importance again, like you have to write in rhetorical way, even in whatever it is academic writing or whatever it is a creative writing. So again, people are saying that no, you cannot write that one because otherwise, as you said, audience won't understand if you use different words. So my question is that I mean, I'm just linking to my students' question that, so I mean, when I'm writing as a student, when my students are writing as students, it's really difficult for them to choose the words, right? I mean, what should they do? I mean, as a writer, writers also face the same difficulties, and the students, when they are writing their academic pieces, they are also facing the same problem. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the academic, like you said, it's like if you don't use a certain language, it's almost not taken as serious as someone who does, even though maybe if something is lost in the shuffle with someone maybe losing some of that general audience, it almost becomes kind of finding like a middle ground with both. Like you said, the ornateness of rhetorical style. You know, you have logic and you have all this other stuff, and it becomes kind of flashy. And of course, you don't want to lose sight of that goal with what you're trying to do with your writing. So, you know, as bad as I said, it does really all come down to I guess, who you're trying to reach. If you know your audience and you can focus on that as specific as possible, then you have a huge advantage in knowing, you know, what I need to give them for them to take me seriously or consider my ideas and things like that. But that's, yeah, like you said, it's tricky because you want to use different words and, you know, you don't want to just repeat the same language over and over because, like you said, with creative writing, that becomes very monotonous and it's not, you know, artful or beautiful like it would be. So I feel like it's just a mix of both worlds sometimes, having that academic mindset, but also not losing that creative, imaginative mind that you have with your language and kind of maybe melding them together if you can.
Okay.
One student is expressing her thanks to you, and she is saying that she learned so many things from today's session.
Thank you.
So do you
Thank
want
you
to
guys again.
do you want to add anything else?
I don't know. I think that's everything. Unless you guys have any last minute, you know, questions or anything. I again just really appreciate your time and letting me talk to you.
Any last minute questions from students?
Okay.
No questions. So I think we should conclude the session here.
Turner, can you please give our students that slides to
yeah,
if they
absolutely.
want? Yeah. Okay.
Can I drop that in here, or can I just email that?
You can email me. I can forward it to them.
Okay, that's perfect. I will do that.
Thank you.
You guys stay safe, and I really appreciate getting to talk to you guys.
Thank you so much for presenting this amazing session to us. We learned a lot of things from you, both the students and the teachers. We learned a lot of things from you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Y'all have a great evening.
We appreciate you. If we again invite you, I hope that you will, I don't know, maybe someday you will come physically.
Yeah, hey,
here.
I would love to. I was gonna say, but yeah, anytime if you guys, you know, want me for anything, just let me know. I'll be there.
And students, when Turner was talking, I don't know you got him or not. He encouraged you people to send your writing pieces to him, and he would appreciate if you send him any creative writing. He would comment on that. Okay, so he would give his feedback about your writing. So yeah, so Turner is going to be killed today. This is my favorite one. Okay, favorite word. So okay, so send him a lot of pieces. So you will get feedback. So thank you, Turner.
Thank you, Turner. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You have a good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Tata.